could a piece of string tell you about your risk for heart disease? Believe it or not, this could be the cheapest, most effective test to help you determine your health risk. How do you do it? Well, it can help you determine if you have too much dangerous visceral belly fat. So all you do is this. You take a piece of string and measure it to the length of your height. Then you fold it in half, like so. And what you're going to do is make sure that you can fit this around your waist.
I'm guessing he's going to pass.
Right?
That would
really
be
at
my
the level of the belly button. And so
he's got room to spare.
And really, you're looking at this visceral belly fat because, look, you can be a certain weight and still be healthy. But that visceral belly fat, we call it toxic goop because it's physiologically active, can increase your cortisol levels, cause things like high blood pressure, higher cholesterol. And so this is a nice, simple little trick. You want to boost your heart health? Yes, we do, right? Heart disease, #1 killer of men and women. What about a doctor's shot of health to help? And you probably already have the ingredients, or hopefully have them in your kitchen. What do we have here? First up, blueberries. Woo. Anthocyanins in blueberries fight inflammation and stiffness in your arteries and improve heart function. What else? And you guys can dig in. Bananas. Potassium in bananas can help regulate blood pressure. Cacao, high in flavonoids that are linked with good cholesterol, which we know can improve vascular function. And last, spinach. That leafy green veggie is high in vitamin K and nitrates, can reduce blood pressure. And Drew, improve your arterial function.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I feel so good. Can I do the word of the day again?
Yeah, they said yes. Okay.
Get in there, Dr. Nita.
I'm in there. I'm in there.
This is how you do it.
Okay. Okay. I expect to live for 5 extra years after being on this show. All of this stuff.
So listen to this. A recent study found that sex can increase long-term survival rates after a heart attack. And in this study, which was published in the American Journal of Medicine, female and male participants 65 or younger at the time of their first heart attack, when they were surveyed for their sexual habits, it was really interesting. People who were sexually active before their heart attack and then again after their heart attack, lower risk of dying. So it was, if you had sex multiple times a week the year before your heart attack, 27% less likely to die during the study period. If after your heart attack, if you had sex weekly, 37% less likely to die. This was sex without choking.
Yeah.
FYI.
I want to know how many died during sex. No.
Well, so that's the thing, right? I think it's also a nice aspect, other than just sex, that often can be a marker for more physically active people, people who have partners. There may be other aspects of your health that is kind of a proxy for, if you will. So I wouldn't necessarily associate that with causality, but it's a nice association. So if you want to have sex before and after your heart attack and your doctor clears it, great.
Well, one of the big issues with heart attack survivors is they won't ask their doctor about being sexually active, so they may assume it's unsafe. And if you look at these statistics, quite frankly, it's almost unsafe not to if you...
Good point. I'm glad we clarified that today.
And then sometimes the partner is afraid that they're going to hurt the person who had the heart attack. So they want to have sex, but they're afraid that they'll hurt them. And then that person, sometimes they're afraid that they will have a heart attack during sex, and that will traumatize their partner. So everybody wants to have sex, but nobody's having sex. But if you have sex, then it can save your life.
A new study actually links stressful jobs to a heart rhythm disorder. Researchers found those who are stressed at work have a 48% higher risk of something known as atrial fibrillation. And atrial fibrillation causes an irregular rhythm in your heart. And your heart's basically an electrical conduction system. Where that signal comes from gets interrupted. And so you develop this irregular heart rhythm, and it can lead to a very fast heart rate. But also what can happen is over time you can develop blood clots in your heart. and that can lead to obviously a whole host of other issues, including increasing your risk for stroke. And it's interesting because getting back to the mind-body connection, you would think, oh, well, stress up here, heart down here. But studies like this make sense, right? Because if you're stressed out all the time, you're increasing your cortisol in your bloodstream, what we call in medicine, your stress hormones,
right,
what you may know as,
they're going to affect your
adrenaline.
Yeah.
And that does affect your heart rate, even potentially your heart structure. So I think this is an opportunity also we just talked about end-of-life care. What about during work care? So many of us, we just put on that straitjacket and we take, I'll say take the bullets, but what I'm really referring to is those day-to-day stressors, and we just accept them, and we never take time.
I mean, stress is part of life. You can't totally escape it completely, but
there's good stress and bad stress.
Yeah, that's right. But 25% of people say the jobs are their number one stressor. So that for a lot of people is the number one thing.
Let's go through a few things that maybe we should do a better job of to decrease stress.
Well, as far as work, you start early in the morning with your work day. What do I do? And it's worked for me for years. Start 30 minutes earlier. So just set that alarm 30 minutes earlier. You're not rushed with that first cup of coffee. You're not rushed getting dressed. There may be less traffic. I do that every time I come to Paramount. I come early just to avoid traffic. We know in LA the traffic is one of the biggest sources of stress, so I'm sort of eliminating.
I can attest to this. He has never once been caught in traffic in the morning because in 11 years, you've always gotten here early. Every single day, rain or shine, you're here early. You beat all that stress.
And he shows up with a smile.
I do, and I'm de-stressed, and we're challenged with what we have to do with work, either here or in the office.
Smart
but
tip.
For me, that tip has really worked.
Today's doctor's prescription is sweet. It's so exciting.
Yummy.
You know what this is? This is a little tasty tip to reduce your risk of a heart attack. Chocolate. That's right. Eating an ounce of chocolate 5 times a week might help reduce your risk of a heart attack, according to new research from the VA Boston healthcare system. The study analyzed 148,000 U.S. veterans, largely men, for 2.5 years. And at the beginning of the study, none of the participants had coronary artery disease, which is, of course, when that plaque builds up in your heart's arteries. The participants were asked how often they had about an ounce of chocolate without any of the extras. And believe it or not, they were followed to see if they experienced heart problems or events related to coronary artery disease, things like chest pain, heart attack, heart failure. After the researchers took into account factors that would affect their risk, they found that, believe it or not, having an ounce of dark chocolate 5 times or more a week was heart protective.
Wow. Good news. Great news.